I'm just sitting here looking at the clock like, is it been
Hello and welcome to MCUnhinged,
Okay, you fuck.
the show where we talk about and
Fucking
recap
bastard.
Marvel properties.
You son of a
I
bitch.
am your host, Tyler Ems.
Fucking mid-sentence.
And with me, I have Shibuya Gato.
What's up?
And the forefront of knowledge on everything Wakanda and its culture.
Oh,
the whitest guy I know, Shawn.
The Everett Ross of the podcast, if you
You're
will.
not the whitest guy I know. You're like the third whitest guy I know. Right behind Jip and Swirls.
Wow. You know what? That's
oh,
fair.
you know what? Fair. Totally fair. I would actually
I,
have been offended
I was gonna
if you
say
said,
Shawn feels like,
I'm pretty white. I'm
ginger
pretty
and white is a
Yeah.
pretty white combo.
Yeah. Ginger, Irish, Italian, white is about as
That's
white
like
as
top
you can get.
top 5% of whitest white people I
Yeah.
can think of is if you combine Irish and Italian.
And so today we're here talking about Black Panther.
Let's go.
It's a movie that came out in 2018 at a runtime of 2 hours and 14 minutes. Directed by Ryan Coogler. Written by Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole. With a budget of $200 million. They needed some more. A box office of $1,346,913 and $161 worldwide.
You telling me they couldn't afford a couple more dollars for that ending?
They definitely needed it.
I don't know if they needed more money or more time.
You can always...
I guess both, but I don't know which one they ran into in terms of issues.
But that's a 52% domestic and 48% international split, with a 96 from critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 79 from audiences, a 7.3 on IMDb, and an 89 on Google, which is pretty high for them.
It's a good movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Any pre-recap thoughts before I read my words word for word?
I have thoughts about this movie.
Yeah.
This was my second time watching this movie. First time since theaters. And I enjoyed this movie a whole lot more this time through. I think that the first half of this movie is one of the best superhero movies ever made. Maybe first 2/3. And then the last third is really generic Marvel action stuff. And so when I saw it in theaters, I was extremely disappointed by that. And that soured like the whole movie for me coming out of the third act. But on this one, like it jumped way up in my ranking because on this watch through, I just knowing that it was going to fall off for me at the end, I was able to enjoy the first 2/3 more, if that makes sense at all. And like,
Yeah, I get that.
And so it didn't bother me as much when it happened. When we got to the ending, which I don't love, it didn't really bother me. And so I really enjoyed this movie on a second watch.
Okay.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with it. The last third is very, we're a Marvel movie, we need to do Marvel shit. But
Yeah.
it's not unearned, and there are moments in that last third that still fucking hit.
There's definitely
Like,
some
we're
cool
gonna
stuff
get
in
to
the-
one
yeah.
line in particular that I still think about from this movie.
Yeah.
Because, God, it's so fucking good and it's so fucking
Yeah.
poignant.
They lucked out with, I don't know about lucked out, Sarah Haley Finch, I think is her name, did an incredible job with casting because every
she
single
does.
Yes, every single character in this movie is perfectly casted, and you get some great line. Nothing in this movie is the fault of the actors. Everybody is killing it.
Performance-wise, they're doing a damn good job. If it's lacking, it's just because of the way it's written or the tropes it's falling into, but it's not lacking in a lot, in my opinion.
No. Yeah.
This is a good movie.
Yeah.
All right, so hold on. I gotta clean my glasses so I can read.
Let's go.
We open with a tale of how Wakanda came to be. Millions of years ago, a meteorite made of vibranium. Sorry, it's just
All right, already?
This is
Already?
mob vibranium.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know that. The strongest substance in the universe. It hit Africa and seeped itself into the plants and landscape around it. 5 tribes settled on the land and called it Wakanda. They were constantly at war with each other until a warrior received a vision from Bast, the panther goddess, which led him to the heart state of herb, which only makes me think of Zelda. This plant gave him superhuman strength, speed, and instincts. He became the king of Wakanda and the first Black Panther. 4 of the 5 tribes agreed to live under the king, but the Jabari tribe isolated themselves in the mountains. Wakandans used vibranium to advance their technology more than any other nation, and Wakanda was thriving, but the world was seeped into chaos, so they hid themselves away. In 1992, in Oakland, California, some kids play basketball with their milk crate hoop, and in an apartment above, a man talks about having no worries if they get the job done quick. He and a friend are planning some kind of heist, but they stop when one of them feels something. They hide their weapons, but the feds aren't here. But then who's knocking at the door? He has his friend open the door because they won't knock again. And in comes 2 members of what we will find out to be the Dora Milaje. They ask him who he is in Kosa, and he responds with Prince Njobu, son of Azuri. They need proof, so he pulls down his lower lip to reveal a glowing blue tattoo. They tap the lights off, and when they come back on, the Black Panther is in front of him. It's King T'Chaka, played by the son of the man who plays old T'Chaka.
Oh, shit.
Brother of Njobu. He orders James to leave, but Njobu says he trusts James with his life, and T'Chaka lets him stay. He takes off his mask and hugs his baby brother. He's come to check up on him. Njobu asks about home, but things are not so good there. They were attacked by a man named Ulysses Claw, once again played by Andy Serkis, and also returning from Age of Ultron, who stole 1/4 ton of vibranium and escaped. Claw has someone on the inside. T'Chaka wants Njobu to tell him why he betrayed Wakanda. Njobu denies the accusations, but T'Chaka tells James to tell him who he is in Kosa. James is actually Zuri, son of Badu, played by, I forget his name. His last name's Whitaker, but he's not actually related to Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, which is funny.
To be a coincidence.
Yeah.
He's Wakandan too, to Njobu's surprise. Njobu wasn't the only spy they sent here. Njobu must return home to face the council. Outside, a little Eric looks up and sees strange lights in the sky, and they fly away. And we get the Marvel intro, which on Disney Plus is the one with Chadwick Boseman to honor his passing.
Okay.
In present day, T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman and returning from Civil War, is watching the news report on the passing of his father and the apprehension of the culprit, Baron Zemo, which happened a week ago, actually. Then they go on to absolutely roast the fuck out of Wakanda for being the poorest nation in the world.
Yeah.
It says that the throne will fall to Prince T'Challa. Okoye, played by Denai Guerrera, tells him that they're coming up on their targets in Nigeria. She grabs her spear, but he is told that he can do it alone. She kind of gives him that, like, okay, dude, whatever you say kind of look, and puts it back down. He's going to get Nakia out as quickly as possible. You know, just don't freeze when you see her. What are you talking about? I never freeze. I love that line.
It's such a good line.
It's really good.
He gets shot out of the ship and begins the mission. He throws some kimoyo onto the truck and deactivates them while the men go into their defensive positions. We see a shot of Nakia, played by Lupita Nyong'o. They search around, but are taken out by the Black Panther. Nakia, she stops him from hurting a young man who was also kidnapped. And he stumbles on his words with Nakia, and the last guard takes the girl hostage. Luckily, Okoye is there to save her because T'Challa did in fact freeze.
I always forget, this is our first introduction to Okoye, right? She's not in Civil War.
Yes, no.
And it's crazy, because she is like the Dora Milaje in my head whenever I think of the Dora Milaje.
Yeah, because she's such a staple. For as minor as her role technically is in this movie, she leaves such a fucking impact because her character is that good.
Mm-hmm. Nakia says they ruined her mission, but he tells her that T'Chaka's dead and he'll be crowned king tomorrow. The trio fly back home through the mountain ranges and through the veil that hides the city.
I think top 5 moments in the whole MCU.
A good
The
moment.
music, because Ludwig Göransson's score is, first of all, incredible. But second of all, just when the Wakanda theme hits for the first time as they go through the veil is genuinely one of my favorite moments in a Marvel movie.
They land at the palace and are greeted by Ao, once again played by Florence Kasumba. This is the Dormilaje who was in Civil War.
Yeah.
Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, and Queen Ramonda, played by Angela Bassett. Okoye has Ao take Nakia to the river province, and Shuri asks if the child froze, like an antelope in headlights. Shuri's here for the EMP beads because she has an update, and she says something that is very prevalent to this movie, which is just because something works doesn't mean it cannot be improved.
Mm-hmm.
He teases her by asking about the updates to her ceremonial outfit, but she just shoots him a bird at the expense of her mother seeing. Queen Ramonda says that she is proud of her son. Her and T'Chaka would talk about this day all the time. It's T'Challa's time to be king. In London, at the Museum of Great Britain, we meet Eric Stevens, a.k.a. Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan.
He's so
checking
good.
out. He's
Immediately.
really good. That RCD world DC skit really messed me up when the rest pop up. He's checking out artifacts. He asks about a few pieces before landing on like a pickaxe kind of thing. She says it's from the 7th century Benin, but Eric says it was taken from the British soldiers in Benin, was actually from Wakanda and made of vibranium. She says he'll take it off. He says he'll take it off her hands, and when she says they aren't for sale, he says, "How do you think your ancestors got these? You think they paid a fair price, or did they take it like they took everything else?" He tells her that she had security on him since he walked in, but didn't even check what she was putting in her body. He
Such a
falls to the
good
floor,
line.
Yeah.
and Eric calls for anyone to help and call a doctor. The medics run in, and the barista girl takes her break. From the POV of the curator, we see that the medic is Ulysses Claw, played by Andy Serkis. Did I say it already? I feel like I did.
It's kind of not fair to the rest of the MCU that this movie gets to have Andy Serkis and Michael B. Jordan in it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta leave a little bit for the rest of us, guys. I mean, come on.
Look,
Dude,
after
Serkis is
Andy
so
Serkis
good.
was stuck in Age of Ultron, thank God they let him go ham in a good movie, you know?
I love Andy Serkis so much.
Oh, he's great
just
here.
glad
he
He
gets
is
to
literally
double,
hamming
dude.
it up.
Yeah.
They shoot everyone in the room except for one guy who he tells to leave, and then shoots him anyways. Makes them look more like amateurs. In the security room, no one is being alerted because a barista girl has hacked the camera feed to be on a loop. I don't know this barista girl's name, but she was supposed to be like an important character, but then one of the Netflix shows decided that character will be there instead of here. And so they had to change a lot of stuff about that.
Oh, fucking
Neat.
Netflix.
Yeah, dude. Those are your people, Shawn.
Hey, I like Daredevil. All right, and Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And Iron Fist. You're a big Iron
I'm
Fist.
not a big Iron Fist guy at all.
Yo, local Iron Fister, Shawn?
Oh, I
I
hate
had
both
to.
connotations of that. I don't know which one is worse.
Claw uses his sonic hand, because his other hand was cut off in Age of Ultron, to break open the glass and grab the Wakandan artifact. It was indeed made of vibranium. Eric looks at the tribal mask. It's not made of vibranium, though. He's just feeling it. They make their escape in an ambulance undetected. Back in Wakanda, the crowning ceremony has begun as 4 of the tribes come together to crown the new king. The child steps out in his warrior attire as all of the tribes sing, and Zuri, now played by Forrest Whitaker, leading the ceremony as he has T'Challa drink a substance that will take away his Black Panther powers. Not like
Forrest
the
Whitaker,
effect
dude.
of the veins.
He's so good. I love it when he shows up in big franchise stuff.
I remember
his
it being a
voice
jump
is-
scare in the theater because my mom
Yeah.
was like fully reacting, and I had to squint and go, "Wait a fucking second, wait a goddamn minute, is that him?"
Well, it's great because like in both this and 2 years earlier in Rogue One, he's just
I
coming into
forgot
the
he was
big
in Rogue One. Yeah.
coming into the 2 huge Disney live action properties and using his awesome voice to just make them better.
Yeah.
And he comes in and gives performances in both of those movies that it's like, are you allowed to be that good? Like, you're not the main character. Are you allowed to be this incredible in this movie right now?
So, yeah, I really like the effect with the veins they do
Yeah.
when he drinks it. We also see Wakabi, played by Daniel Kaluuya, voice of Spider-Punk, in the crowd. This is literally a battle for the throne. If anyone can beat T'Challa by yield or death, they will become king instead. The merchant tribe will not challenge, neither will the border tribe, or the river tribe, or the mining tribe. Shuri raises her hand to challenge, but it was actually to tell everyone to wrap it up so they can leave. That's all of them. T'Challa stands uncontested. Oh, wait. Who is it? It's the fucking Jabari tribe, baby. They waltz in. They're chanting. And M'Baku's here, played by Winston Duke.
M'Baku's so fun.
Cool. So
He's a good character.
honestly, M'Baku might be my favorite thing to come out of like these movies.
Yeah,
I
love
want
M'Baku.
I want M'Baku in every single Marvel movie. I don't care
Just
if
get
it makes
M'Baku
sense.
jump scared in the middle of the next Avengers movie.
Just like I don't care. Like in Captain America, like Sam is stopping for a coffee, and he's leaving Starbucks, and he bumps right into M'Baku, and M'Baku's like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" And I'm like, "Yes."
They're fighting in the Marvels, and they switch places, and it's M'Baku.
Like I will cheer anytime that this man shows up on screen.
He says he's here because it's Challenge Day. He's here for the throne. And M'Baku and the Jabari are disgusted that the technological advances are overseen by a child, and that they want to hand the throne to someone who could not keep his own father safe.
Whew.
T'Challa accepts the challenge, and they ready up. M'Baku and T'Challa battle it out, and M'Baku gets the upper hand. No
Ryan?
powers, no claws, no special suit, just a boy not fit to lead.
Ryan
saying
Coogler
something?
has such an eye for like one-on-one individual fights. I think those are where like this movie really shines. This
Yeah,
fight
those are
being
the
one
best
of them.
sequences in the movie as far as action goes, for sure.
Yeah. So this one and one later on is like just stunning to watch.
It's not until Ramona tells T'Challa to show him who he is that he gets the strength to overcome. He forces M'Baku to yield, and he becomes king. Wakanda forever. T'Challa must retake the heart-shaped herb in order to regain his Black Panther powers and take him to the ancestral plane. T'Challa has visions of his father from when he was a kid, and when his father was attacked on the UN, as they bury him in sand. He wakes up in the ancestral plane with the purple sky and sees a bunch of panthers lying amongst the trees. One jumps down, and it's T'Chaka, played by John Connie. They reunite, and T'Challa apologizes, but his father tells him, "Stand up, King. You dropped this." T'Challa doesn't know if he's ready, not for the throne, but to live without his father. A man who has not prepared his children for his own death has failed as a father. Have I ever failed you? He tells his son to surround himself with people he trusts. He's a good man with a good heart, and it's hard for a good man to be king. He's awoken from the sand and is happy to have seen his father. In the city, T'Challa and Nakia are taking a stroll. This is the first time that I've noticed that Ayo and Koliswa are right behind them.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Oh yeah, they are. Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, I guess it
He's
makes sense. You know, he's the
Yeah,
king.
he's the king.
Yeah.
So. He's trying to convince her to stay in Wakanda, but she can't. She wants to help those with nothing, unlike the people of Wakanda. She wants to provide aid and technology and refuge to those who need it. And then, T'Challa's like, yeah. And then he goes visits Wakabi and his rhino at the border tribe. Wakabi thinks the opposite of
I
Nakia.
know.
He thinks if you let refugees in, then their problems come in too. He would be down to go out there and clean up the world. After Wakabi's not-so-subtle suggestion of waging war on the world, they get a call from Okoye, who is married to Wakabi. She says someone of importance just showed up on their radar. Okoye shows the council of the museum heist and the perpetrator of Ulysses Claw. He plans to sell a vibranium to an American buyer in South Korea that night. He's pretty slippery because he's evaded them for almost 30 years. But this is too great of an opportunity to pass up. Wakabi wants to come, but he's needed at the border. He wants revenge for Claw killing his parents. He only asks that T'Challa kills him where he stands or brings him back. And T'Challa promises to bring him back.
You shouldn't promise things. It's not doesn't go well.
Yeah.
We go into Shuri's lab to get upgrades. She's already sent a call to Busan and asks him who he'll be taking on the mission. It's Okoye and Nakia, his ex. Is it a good idea? Of course it is. Shuri gives some communication devices with unlimited range and audio surveillance, remote access Kimoyo beads, some sound-absorbent sneakers, after hitting him with a "what are those" joke, and a new nanotech suit that resides within the teeth of a necklace. He tells him to hit the new suit a few times as she starts recording. He hits it in the same place, and he goes flying. The suit absorbs the kinetic energy and stores it for redistribution. In Busan, T'Challa and gang arrive. Okoye and Nakia are wearing wigs. Nakia gets them into the secret casino, and they spread out to look for the buyer. The woman outside mentions that Nakia was troubled, but she only made a bit of a mess in an argument with some ivory traders. As they notice and start counting the Americans, T'Challa spots Everett Ross, played by Martin Freeman, and returning from Civil War, who happens to be Claw's buyer. T'Challa says that he gave them Zemo, but Ross says that he kept the secret that the leader of a third world country runs around as a superhero.
Yeah, I feel like you got him. You got him even there.
Yeah.
T'Challa tells Ross that Claw will be leaving with him. End of story. T'Challa actually won the game of craps or whatever they're playing, but walked away. Lucky for him, our Stan Lee cameo has him holding on to the chips for safekeeping. What a Chad.
Let's
What
go.
a Chad. What an interesting cameo as well, with like what we not learned about Stan Lee, but what like people finally started to talk about with Stan Lee, and like that some of the stuff that we credit to him about early Marvel maybe should have belonged to somebody else.
Yeah.
But so it's funny. That's all I could think about when he came in and it was like, "Yeah, I'll take that money. I'll hold on to that for you."
Weirdly poignant.
Yeah, weirdly poignant.
Yeah. I'd absolutely do the same, though. If he just walked away,
Come on.
Look,
grab that.
if the guy doesn't come back, then whose is it?
Yeah, and
You,
he's like,
you take
he's
it
the
to the
king. He
lost
doesn't
and
need
found.
it.
It is lost. I found it.
Yeah. Ross wants to work something out, but T'Challa is not here to make a deal. Claw and his men walk in, kiss the Kree lady on the cheek, and definitely don't pass the metal detector check. Ross jokes about Claw's entourage and asks about his mixtape, to which Claw actually has one. He's a SoundCloud rapper. 6 more guys come in.
My God, he's so good. He's so good in this fucking movie.
And this is definitely a setup. T'Challa and gang try to avoid a shootout, but Nakia gets a little antsy and Okoye says something in Kosa, tipping one of the men off to who she was. A fight breaks out with a really good choreography.
Great
It ends with
choreography.
Claw blasting T'Challa down the stairs and driving away.
It's great. There's like a lot of it is done in like, I don't know that it's actually done in one take, but they hide the cuts very well to make it look like it's done in one take.
Yeah.
And the I just love seeing people fight with spears. That's part of the reason I love the Dora Milaje so much. Is spears are really cool weapons that kind of get overlooked. So whenever you get to see somebody using one, I'm like, yes.
It also makes for really interesting choreography when it's done well.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of potential for just like blunt hits on top of the actual like final stab, you know?
And like spears are like, it's kind of boring to do because swords are fun and flashy, but spears were the weapons used, like in medieval times, like because you don't want to get that close to somebody. You know, if you could kill somebody from a little
6
ways
feet.
away, you want to do it.
Yep.
6 feet. So it's cool. There's cool stuff you can do with a spear. It's just, I think, more difficult than a cool sword fight, and so I think some people get lazy with it.
That's why Dragoons are the best class, dude.
Oh God, don't make me think about Final Fantasy right now. I'm just trying to get through this.
My Amazon copy won't be here till Monday, so I'm gonna have to refund
No!
that, and I'm gonna have to just go to the store tomorrow and be like, please,
Please,
I
dear
need Clive. I need Clive in my house right now.
We have a standee for that, actually.
Please, I need him. Let me bring him home.
I'll feed him. I'll water him. I promise.
I will not water him. I'm not ruining a fucking Clive standee.
So Okoye and Nakia give chase, and T'Challa catches up after he suits up on top of a car being controlled by Shuri. Black Panther knocks the guy out of a car, and Shuri definitely runs him over.
No, it's
You're
okay.
doing
It's okay.
great.
He's
Don't
fine.
worry about it.
He's just unconscious.
T'Challa takes care of the car he was chasing, but Okoye and Nakia get blasted by Claw, obliterating their car. Lucky for them, Ross picks them up to continue. Claw blasts Shuri's car too, but Black Panther still manages to disable theirs. He corners Claw and takes off his arm. It says, "Oh mercy, King," and T'Challa, quoting the comics directly, "Every breath you take is mercy from me."
Oh God.
T'Challa's about to finish him off, but the world is watching. You don't want to end up like John Walker. In the interrogation room, Claude jokes around while the group decides what to do. They let Ross go to talk to him first, as to not make a scene, and then they'll take him back to Wakanda whether Ross likes it or not. Claude tells Ross not to trust Wakandans and that his supplier is Wakanda. Claude tells Ross that Wakanda masquerades as a poor country. It's all a front. It's basically El Dorado. They're a tech marvel because their city is on top of a mound of vibranium, and they use it in everything, including their clothes. Outside, Claw's team from the museum are tracking his arm. Ross questions T'Challa about the vibranium, and Killmonger hops out of the back of the van in his iconic movie armor that is definitely inspired by Vegeta.
Yeah, the fucking Vegeta armor.
Oh yeah.
It's so
Fucking
good.
Vegeta armor. Nakia has noticed something was off since they got here, as Killmonger and crew bust into the place. They take Claw and get away, but T'Challa notices a ring around Killmonger's neck. Back inside, Ross has been shot and needs help after jumping in front of Nakia. The bullet hit his spine. They take Ross back to Wakanda. Okoye is against this, but Nakia can't let him die, not after he took a bullet for her. They take him to Shuri's lab, and she says, "Great, another broken white boy for us to fix."
Such a good line.
Wakabi comes to the lab looking for Claw and is very disappointed to not find him there. He thought things would be different, but it's just more of the same.
I'm sure that's gonna be fine. That relationship is gonna be totally fine.
At an airfield, Killmonger, Claw, and the rest prepare to fly out of the country. Killmonger tells Claw to drop them off at Wakanda, and he proceeds to shoot one of the guys. Claw takes his girlfriend hostage, but Killmonger doesn't really care and shoots her himself. He pins Claw down, and Claw tries to tell him that they'll never see him as one of them. That's until he shows Claw that he's actually Wakandan. Eric puts the final bullet into him, and that's it for Andy Serkis.
Yeah, I will say, in terms of like storytelling decisions, this is the only thing in the movie that I just straight up don't like. There's stuff later that I think is good ideas and executed kind of poorly, but I really don't like that they killed off Claw. I think like Andy Serkis is too good. The scene works, but all I see is wasted potential in how good Andy Serkis could have been in the future of the franchise.
Yeah, but we can't let the villains live, Shawn.
Apparently not, even though the best part about the fucking comic books is that the villains come back and you get to they're also characters that are cool.
No.
But don't worry, Abomination can come back, but Claw can't.
Back with T'Challa, he goes to ask Zuri about his uncle Njobu, whom his father said had disappeared. He noticed the ring Killmonger was wearing was identical to his, and Zuri doesn't believe it's possible. He tells T'Challa that some truths are too much to bear, and that he promised the king to not speak of it. But there is a new king. Njobu took a war dog assignment in America, and Zuri was there to observe unbeknownst to Njobu. Njobu fell in love with an American woman and had a child. Njobu saw so many hardships that he became radicalized. Assassination of leaders, communities flooded with guns and drugs, being overly policed and incarcerated. He had enough. Njobu wanted to give people the tools to stand up and have Wakanda rule the world the right way. Njobu helped Claw steal vibranium, and when faced with the impending punishment, he pulled a gun on his brother Nzuri, and T'Chaka stabbed him with his claws, killing him. And they left his child there. They had to maintain the lie. Killmonger drags the body back to the border of Wakanda and drops it in front of W'Kabi. It's just a little gift, and in the bag is Claw. W'Kabi asks him who he is. Ross wakes up in Shuri's lap and starts to walk around. And one of my favorite lines is, "Don't scare me like that, colonizer."
Yeah.
Dude, Shuri's such a great character.
Shuri's one-liners are really good in this movie.
She tells him that Korea happened yesterday, which confuses him because bullet wounds don't heal overnight, except for here, through technology. He looks out the window and sees a massive amount of unmined vibranium and decides to ask about the maglev trains. Shuri tells him about how the sonic stabilizers can temporarily deactivate vibranium. Don't worry, that will not come up later. And that vibranium is all around us. Okoye calls Shuri asking for T'Challa because a man showed up at the border and killed Claw. Okoye says it's Wakandan, but Ross says that Killmonger is one of them. T'Challa and Nakia sit on a mountaintop and chat about his father's sins. Even though his uncle betrayed them, he fears his father created something even worse. Nakia, being the goat that she is, says you can't let your father's mistakes define who you are. You get to decide what kind of king you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get a call to the lab. Ross gives them the rundown on Killmonger. Real name Eric Stevens. Graduated Annapolis at age 19. Went to MIT, which is, I guess, is just the school of the MCU. Joined the SEALs and went straight to Afghanistan, where he wrapped up confirmed kills like it was a video game. To the point where they started calling him Killmonger. He joined the Zayshawk Ghost Unit and would drop off the grid to commit assassinations and take down governments. He has a war dog tattoo, but they have no record of him. The council meets to discuss Eric, and then he's brought in. He tells them that he brought justice to a man who wronged them, something that their own king couldn't deliver. T'Challa doesn't care much that Killmonger brought Claw. The only reason he doesn't kill him where he stands is because T'Challa knows who he is. Killmonger says he wants the throne, and the elders all laugh at him. He says there are about 2 billion people all over the world who look like us, but their lives are a lot harder. Wakanda has the tools to liberate them all. He wants their weapons.
I can't believe this isn't a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's shocking.
It's
that they let so much of this fly.
Yeah, it's a lot.
He says, T'Challa says, it is not our way to be judge, jury, and executioner for people who are not our own. It's not your own. But didn't life start right here in this continent? So ain't all people your people? I am not king of all people. I am king of Wakanda. And I like that T'Challa, definitely doesn't have the greatest of views here. Even though Killmonger also wants to do good in the wrong way. But T'Challa's journey in this movie is to learn from Killmonger, so, we'll get there. We'll get there. Queen Ramona tells T'Challa to reject Eric, but he tells them to ask him who he is. Shuri lays out the facts, but not all of them. T'Challa tries to have him taken away, but he yells out in Kosa that his name is N'Jadaka, son of Prince Njobu. He found his dad with panther claws in his chest. The queen claims these are lies, but W'Kabi pulls out the ring that Eric had verifying him of royal blood. Hey, Auntie. Killmonger wants to exercise his blood right to challenge for the mantles of Throne and Black Panther. And I just wrote, I love Killmonger, dude.
He's
He
so
rocks.
good. He's so good.
Because they're like, the challenge will take weeks to prepare. Weeks? I don't need weeks. The whole country ain't got to be there. I just need him.
Ugh.
This sounds like a villain.
He is.
T'Challa. Is he? I don't know. Maybe he's got a point.
He's a
You could be a villain and still be spitting facts.
Extremely sympathetic.
These are not
motives.
things that are
He
exclusive.
might be the protagonist.
I don't know about that. Definitely very sympathetic motives. But-
T'Challa accepts the challenge to the protagonist, Eric Killmonger.
Well, really, when you think about it, T'Challa issued the challenge because, that should be Killmonger's throne, so.
Yeah. While T'Challa has his strength taken, Zuri can't even look Eric in the face. T'Challa gives him one last chance to throw down his weapons so they can talk it out, but Eric isn't having it. I've lived my entire life waiting for this moment. I trained. I lied. I killed. Just to get here. I killed in America, Afghanistan, Iraq. I took life from my own brothers and sisters right here on this continent. And all this death, just so I could kill you. The challenge begins, and it's pretty even.
Like a good guy says.
Yeah, that's a good guy speech.
Protagonist does not mean good guy. Just
That's
putting that out there.
Fair enough.
That's up there
enough.
with Captain
No, you're
America.
absolutely right. Yeah, honestly,
They're on the same
if
line.
I closed,
God.
if I closed my eyes, I wouldn't know who said which.
Yeah, it's just like Spider-Man and Blue Beetle. They're like the same.
Fucking hell.
When I think of Spider-Man, you know what I think of next? Blue Beetle.
Yeah, he's up next.
It's such a good video.
The challenge begins, and it's pretty even until Eric gets the upper hand and stabs T'Challa and beats him to the ground. But before he can deal the final blow, Zuri stops him and tells him that he was the cause of his father's death and says to take him instead. Killmonger plans to take them both as he kills Zuri. Everyone watches because that's all they can do, while T'Challa tries to fight back but gets beaten, and then Eric throws him over the waterfall. Is this your king, the Black Panther, the one who's supposed to lead you into the future? Him? He's supposed to protect you? Nah, I'm your king.
This fight, top 5 fights in all of the
It's a good
MCU
fight.
for me.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's shot entirely in IMAX. You can tell the aspect ratio changes as soon as they end up at like the warrior pools, and just the entire thing is so gorgeously shot.
Shuri, Ramonda, and Nakia flee while they can. Okoye stays because she's supposed to be loyal to the throne. This is going to come back to bite her in the ass. Later that night, Nakia meets with Okoye and tells her that the queen and Shuri are safe. They should get with them ASAP. But Okoye can't leave her post, even because of a man who showed up only hours ago. Nakia wants Okoye to help her overthrow Killmonger, but Okoye is on that bullshit. Says she's loyal to the throne no matter who sits upon it. Even asking what Nakia is loyal to. Nakia says
The
that she loved
performance here is incredible, though.
It's crazy. Nakia says that she loved T'Challa and her country. Then you serve your country. No, I save my country. She goes and gets Ross, and they leave. Killmonger starts a ritual to ingest the heart-shaped herb, while Ramonda and Shuri wait for Nakia. She shows up with Ross and tells Ramonda that Okoye isn't coming. Again, not going to be good for Okoye. Killmonger takes the heart-shaped herb and visits the ancestral plane. He sees flashbacks of his father's death, and instead of being taken to the African fields, he is taken to his childhood apartment with the glow of the purple sky in the windows. He removes a painting and finds a book all about Wakanda. He takes the ring out, and his father shows up to talk to him. He says he gave Eric the key, hoping he could go there one day, but fears that he will still not be welcome. They'll say he's lost. Eric has no tears for his father, at least he says he doesn't, and Njobu says that he should have taken Eric back long ago. Eric says that maybe Wakanda's the one that's lost. And he wakes up. He
Dude.
tells the...
Sterling K. Brown's performance is so
really
good.
It's so
and
good.
Just the way I can't remember what the exact line is, but you can see like he feels guilty about how his son has turned out.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah.
Like the pain and just like he's failed, and you can see it. He portrays it so well.
It might have been right after he said was like, no tears for your dad. And
Yeah.
like, nah. That's just how things are here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also love that this movie is all about the parallels, and
Yeah.
the parallels in particular between T'Challa being able to go to the ancestral plane, and it being, you know, so open and free, and then when Eric goes to the ancestral plane, it's the cramped apartment
Yeah.
Yeah.
because his entire family has been sort of banished and not given that right. It's
Yeah.
so fucking good.
And what? So you're right, Tyler. It's after he says like that's what happens around here. His dad says, "Well, look at what I've done," and it's
Yeah.
before he, before he says I should have taken you back a long time ago. But it's just him blaming himself for how this all turned out. It's very powerful.
So Eric wakes up. He tells the woman to burn all the heart-shaped herb. There will be no next king, but he does have to choke a bitch to get her to do it. You know, just like Captain America, he says, when I tell you to do something, I mean that shit.
God.
Again, dude, if I close my eyes, I can't even tell who's saying it. You know?
Nakia manages to snag one before the burning starts. Eric takes the throne, and he's pretty dripped out.
Yeah. That shot of him walking to the throne with the camera upside down.
It's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
incredible.
The cinematography in this movie, you could just go on for hours about it because
Yeah.
it's so fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it looks great.
His plan is to send vibranium weapons to all of their war dogs and arm the oppressed so that they kill those in power and their children and anyone else on their side. He's going to start the world all over again this time, and they'll be on top. The sun will never set on Wakanda. Okoye tries to tell Killmonger that they survived so long by only fighting when necessary, but Wakabi says that times are changing, and it's time
We
change
changed
too.
too.
God.
And then fucking Vulture and Morbius walk in and they go,
Yeah.
"Heard you guys had trouble with a spider." And they're like, "Actually, a panther." And they're like, "Fuck it, close enough."
Yeah. Nakia, Shuri, Ramonda, and Ross are taking the heart-shaped herb to Jabari Land to offer it to M'Baku for help in taking out Killmonger. Ramonda doesn't think they should give the herb to M'Baku, and instead thinks Nakia should take it, but Nakia is a spy with no army. They need a leader. They're ambushed by the Jabari and taken to M'Baku.
Dude, the Jabari, like, home is so cool looking. The design of Wakanda and every location that we visit is so incredibly done, and I just want to see more of all of these areas, but specifically the Jabari area. I really want to see more of this place.
Yeah, it's a cool looking place. I hate the snow though. Ramonda tells M'Baku that T'Challa was murdered in ritual combat, but M'Baku makes a good point that it was more of a defeat because the odds were fair. Shuri speaks up but gets silenced. Ross speaks up and gets barked at. You cannot talk. One more word and I will feed you to my children. I'm kidding. We're vegetarians.
Dude,
So good.
this is when the mask breaks and you learn who M'Baku is.
Yeah,
and
it's such a good
immediately
moment.
You fall in love and you're like, oh, this guy's the best.
So while he's laughing at his own joke, Nakia steps up and offers the herb. She realizes just how serious this situation is, and he leads them to where they've been keeping T'Challa's body.
Yo.
He's in a coma, but barely clinging to life. One of the Jabari fishermen found him. They have to give him the herb now or he'll die. She begs for Bass to heal him and gives him the herb. And I laughed when M'Baku turned to look at Ross, and Ross turned away. T'Challa wakes up in the ancestral plane, now bathed in a golden horizon.
Ugh.
His father says that it's time for him to come home and be reunited with him. T'Challa asks why his dad didn't bring Eric home. He was the truth I chose to omit. T'Chaka makes the same arguments T'Challa made but now T'Challa sees that they were all wrong. He chews them out. You can't stay here and rest while Killmonger sits on the throne. He wakes up in the real world, although he's a bit cold. Nakia catches T'Challa up on what happened and tells him that Killmonger burned the garden of the heart-shaped herb. This doesn't surprise Ross, though. That's what Eric was trained to do. His unit worked with the CIA to help destabilize foreign countries. T'Challa plans to continue the challenge and wants his family out of Wakanda safely. Shuri, Nakia, and Ross will all be there fighting beside him, and M'Baku asks them if they are done. T'Challa asks him for a moment alone with him. M'Baku says that he owed T'Challa a great death, a life for a life. T'Challa wants an army, but M'Baku says no. He will not give Jabari lives for his cause. T'Challa says that it's their cause, together for all of them. Oh, us? Us? You are the first king to come here in centuries, and now you speak of us? Us, also the next non-Marvel movie that Winston Duke would be in after this.
Funny how that works.
T'Challa won't speak up for the kings before him, but he knows they both know that if Killmonger gets hold of vibranium, where he's heading to next. And M'Baku stands his ground. He says no. Killmonger gets the shipments ready to be sent out to the War Dogs. There's some resistance to their new mission, but the War Dogs in London, New York, and Hong Kong are standing by.
It's always interesting that it's those three cities.
Yeah, coincidentally, the same locations as the Sanctums.
Yeah.
The world is about to find out exactly who Wakanda is. Before the first ship can get out of eyeshot, it's blown up. T'Challa stands on top of it. He says, Ndadaka, I never yielded. And as you can see, I am not dead.
And this is when the movie turns into the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is cool, though. This is a good moment. Let him have it.
No, it's cool. It's cool. It's funny how the final fight of this movie is broken up nearly identically to the final fight in Phantom Menace, but this is done much, much better. You're right.
Killmonger is done with all that challenge shit. He orders everyone to carry out the mission, and he tells W'Kabi to kill T'Challa. And even though his wife Okoye warns him against it, W'Kabi says, fuck it, we go in.
He says, fuck it, we ball.
We ball.
Okoye finally turns against Killmonger. It's way too late now. Who suits up in the other Black Panther suit Shuri made, and she sends Ayo to help T'Challa. A big battle ensues between Dora Milaje and the Bora tribe, and T'Challa pleads with W'Kabi to stop this, but he just summons the battle rhinos. Yeah, the rhinos.
I don't think the rhino. I know a lot of people get mad about the rhinos. I think the rhinos are actually fine.
The rhinos are cool.
They don't look good with the CGI, but I think that they look fine for this movie.
They were established as a plot thing. They work just fine, even if their CG's not great. You know, they were prioritizing other things when they had the CG budget for this movie, as you can tell later.
Yeah. It's the CGI I have a problem with is later. It's not the
I know exactly
stuff.
which one you're talking about.
In Shuri's lab, Shuri and Nakia get their weapons, and they put Ross in charge of remote piloting a ship once they get control of it, because he was a great pilot. Killmonger takes Khaliswa hostage and kills her. Okoye goes crazy, and when Nakia and Shuri make it to the battlefield, that's when they get there. They take control of one of the ships and make sure that the controls were American style for Ross to fly. His job is to shoot down the ships carrying the weapons. He can't let them escape Wakanda.
All right, Anakin, go blow up the control ship.
Yeah, you got this.
Fucking hell.
Okoye and the other two Dora pin Killmonger down and try to take off his necklace, but he blasts him away with the kinetic blast. Shuri and Nakia run in, and that's when we get it. The point.
Yeah!
And then we start the really, really bad CGI.
Yeah.
Oh,
because it's at that point when Shuri starts shooting him, and he just looked like a fucking video game character.
Well, I mean, he racked up kills like a video game, so actually, this is a narrative
this is
line that we're paying off here.
Yeah.
He's
just from a different universe. That's his art style.
Wait, did you guys see? I think he glitched. He's glitching. Look.
So the battle continues, and Killmonger tosses Nakia into Sable Shuri's arm blasters and is going in for the kill. T'Challa sees this while being attacked by the Border Tribe, and he lets out a blast and rushes to save her. He tackles Eric off the ledge, and they fight on the monorail tracks in what's actually really, really terrible CGI.
Yeah, this is when nothing on the screen is real anymore, and it's very clear.
This is the... I don't have, like, a good name for it, but this is the problem that comes up in something like Venom as well, where the final fight is two things that are so similar looking in a dark arena that it's kind of indistinguishable 90% of the time who's who, and it just kind of comes out looking like shit.
Yeah, and they both look like video game characters from, like, the PlayStation 3. Like,
yeah, the unfortunate thing is that I can name 3 movies, including this one, that do it, and it's so fucked up, dude.
Yeah. And I think this one hurts more than, say, like, the Venom example, because everything else in this movie is so good.
Yeah, because this should be a climax that feels satisfying, but because the CG is like this, it's so distracting.
And I would say that by the end of the climax, it does come back around to being satisfying. It's just
this is an egregious, like,
it's terrible
middle that you cannot ignore.
It's like, I would go so far as to say this is unacceptable. Like, if I was sitting in watching a rough edit or something, or even close to a final edit, and I saw this, I was like, yo, hold on, we're putting this out? Like, are you guys looking at this?
Comes out tomorrow.
Hold on. We're gonna patch it, right? We're gonna, like, send another copy out? No. This is the end.
So
Phantom Menace continues.
Yeah.
3 fights happening at once.
He wants Shuri to activate the train, which will disable both of their suits. Killmonger says he doesn't need a suit to kill T'Challa, but T'Challa just tells him that he wants to see Wakanda become just like the people he hates so much. T'Challa says that Killmonger will destroy the world, including Wakanda, but the world took everything away from Eric. Eric says he'll put anyone loyal to T'Challa in the dirt right next to Zuri. Ross is chasing the supplies and is being chased, but he lost one of them, who just so happens to be shooting the windows right outside the lab. Shuri tells him to get out of there, but Ross wants to finish the job. The AI voice tells Ross that the glass is at 50% integrity.
Voiced by Trevor Noah.
Voiced by Trevor Noah.
Fucking hell, I never knew that.
Yeah, but I love this moment for Ross. It really sells, like, I don't know. There's something about when the character that really shouldn't be in the action is like, nah, just give me a few more minutes. I got this. Where I'm like, yeah, let's go. You know, you're like, you should not be there. But yeah, exactly. No, man, put me back in. Like, no, you shouldn't. But yes, do it.
The Border Tribe box in Nakia, Shuri, Ao, and Okoye. Wakabi tells them they have 3 seconds to put down their weapons, but before they can get to one, who comes in? It's the boy, the Chad himself.
Shit.
It's M'Baku and the Jabari, baby.
Let's go!
T'Challa and Killmonger continue their cutscene fight while Ross finally takes out the last cargo.
We go back to the pre-rendered CG.
Our 7th
gen
gen end of game cutscene fight. There's QTEs happening. Don't worry about those.
What game is the ridiculous CG cutscene where they're doing, like, the gun fu? They're, like, shooting at each other and they're just dodging all of the, like, point blank pistol shots. It's got to be a Metal Gear game.
I feel like that might be MGS4, but I don't know off the top of my head.
It's gotta be. It's just the most ridiculous shit, and it's like that's what this is.
So Ross takes up the last cargo ship just in time to get out of the lab. Wakabi charges at M'Baku with his rhino, but Okoye stands in the way of the rhino and he just looks at her. He says, "Drop your weapon. Would you kill me, my love, for Wakanda?" Without question.
And I clapped.
At least she's, like, you know, kind of consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wakabi looks around and sees Wakandans fighting Wakandans and yields. T'Challa and Killmonger continue to tussle, but it ends with T'Challa stabbing him in the chest, like father, like son.
It comes around so perfectly.
Eric remembers what his father said about taking him to Wakanda one day, the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. And T'Challa takes him out of the mines and shows Eric the sunset. The sun will never set on Wakanda except for right now, Eric, as you die. T'Challa says that they can still heal Eric, but Eric refuses. Why? So he can just lock me up? Nah. Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships. Because they knew that they knew that death was better than bondage.
And that is the line I still fucking think about to this goddamn day.
I think it's probably the best line in the whole MCU. I mean, easily.
I think this movie has one of the tightest, like, narrative through lines of we know what we're about and we are not diverting from this message the entire film. And it culminating in this is fantastic just because, like, to some degree, Eric was kind of right. And that's the most tragic part of all of this.
Absolutely.
He pulls the spear out of his chest and dies. The battle is over. The sun rises on Wakanda once again. In the city, T'Challa thanks Nakia for saving him and his family and their nation. She says it was her duty to fight for what she loves, and they kiss. And he asks her to stay because he knows a way that she can help people outside of Wakanda as well. In Oakland, where Eric grew up, some kids play basketball while T'Challa and Shuri look at the apartment where fratricide was committed. They're tearing down the apartments, except T'Challa bought the building and a couple more in the area. This will be the first Wakandan International Outreach Center. Nakia will lead the social outreach, and Shuri will lead the science and information exchange. T'Challa uncloaks their Bugatti spaceship, and the kids ask T'Challa, and a kid asks T'Challa who he is, and credits roll.
And the banger of that year plays.
I still put this song on. This song is so fucking good.
Such an incredible song.
Mid-credits, at the UN, T'Challa and gang announce to the world that there, for the first time in their history, they'll be sharing their knowledge and resources with the outside world. They cannot, will not, and must not watch from the shadows any longer. In times of crisis, the wise build bridges, while the foolish build barriers. One guy asks what a nation of farmers will have to offer to the rest of the world.
And a bunch of white guys laugh.
Yeah, and everyone else smirks. Post-credit scene. A bunch of kids stare at someone who we come to find is one James Buchanan Barnes.
Woo!
Shuri asks him how he's doing, and then has him follow her. There's a lot more for him to learn.
Woohoo!
Let's go!
And that is the movie.
Man. Kind of like final thought, before we do like all of the stuff that we normally do. I know that at one point there was like a Wakanda show in development. I know that Ryan Coogler was going to be doing that. So hopefully now that, Wakanda Forever came out, that can get some traction. Because there's a lot of characters in here that I think get a decent amount in Wakanda Forever. But Wakanda Forever is obviously very much about Shuri. And so I really wish like Okoye, M'Baku, I can never remember Daniel Kaluuya's character's name, but like the three of them, Wakabi, I'd really like a lot more of those three.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of potential for good character building because you have a stellar cast here. The problem is it's a lot of big names, so I don't know how feasible it would be to do a long-running sort of series, but just a spin-off focusing on them, maybe 6 episodes, I think that could be really good.
Yeah, I hope that happens. I guess we'll see.
All right, so let's go into
language.
Let's go.
Woo!
This movie has a total of 15 swear words.
I didn't get to see the Thor Ragnarok one yet.
You get to look at it right now.
I do. Wow, that's a lot lower than I would have thought.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah. So this movie has 10 hard swears and 5 soft swears.
The first time in the MCU that hard swears have outdone soft swears.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah. That graph is wild right now.
That's crazy.
And we have one man to thank for that. His name is Everett Ross.
Dude, I knew there was a reason. Martin Freeman, dude.
White guys coming into Wakanda, swearing up a storm and then leaving like they own the fucking place.
So, let's see.
like that the bars, the graph, like the bars are, or the lines are crossing over right before we get to the big crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Infinity War is going to be.
Infinity War is gonna go crazy with those numbers.
Yeah.
I'm just curious which will be higher.
Yeah. It's every
All
character
right.
that curses every other sentence in a movie together.
Yes. Tony Stark gets two more chances to defend his title.
Yeah.
I need him to carry.
Yeah.
At 4401, Everett Ross says,
Now, whatever the hell you're up to, do me a favor, stay out of my way.
at 5056, Ulysses Claw says, at 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 55 seconds,
Man.
Killmonger says,
When I tell you to do something, I mean that shit.
just like Captain America.
Yeah.
At 132.19, Ross once again says, at 142.54, Eric says,
All that challenge shit is over with.
at 148.02, Ross hits us with four
Oh my
hard
God.
swears.
Oh my god. Oh, okay. I see. I
Damn.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. The rapid fire.
At 150.47, Killmonger says,
I'm gonna track down anyone who would even think about being loyal to you. And I'm gonna put their ass in the dirt right next to Zuri.
Damn.
at 151.15, Everett Ross hits us with our first ever combined swear sentence.
Whoa, what?
A soft and a hard swear. He is killing it.
What the hell was that?
Shit and hell.
Damn.
At 153.10, Everett Ross says, at 155.56, Eric Stevens says,
Hell of a move.
and at 2:02:01, this kid says,
Man, what the hell is that?
and that is it for the swears. Now let's look at the rankings here. Not much has changed.
Oh.
So
I haven't seen this before.
yeah, you should probably watch the episode.
I'm on them. What the fuck? You've never shown us this before.
So, of course, Everett Ross hit us with 9 swears this episode. Killmonger with a 4, Ulysses with 1, and the NPCs got 1, but their total is 17, which only means they move up over Yondu to be the de facto second place. And Everett Ross, you can't see it on this top 10 here, but Everett Ross is right below Peter Parker at 9 now.
All right, we'll see if he can get in the top 10 in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah. And that is it for the swears. Let's talk about the connections here.
Yay!
Let's go.
So, as the mini board squeaks its way in, we don't have a lot, right? We have T'Challa, who is coming back from Civil War, along with Ulysses Claw, and Ayo, and Claw's from Age of Ultron, but Ayo and Ross. We have mentions of another broken white boy, aka Bucky, also coming over from Civil War. And that's kind of it. Other than that, it's kind of its own kind of thing. So as for the larger connections here, we have as the board squeaks its way out, we just have Civil War and Age of Ultron, and that's about it. I can't think of any others. So, rankings. Shibuya, where do you rank this movie?
This is a good movie. There's no other way to say it. It's definitely going to be more impactful for some people than for others, and the final act is unfortunately brought down by the fucking, you are what I could have been CG fight. But despite all that, I love these characters. I love this setting. I do not hate Everett Ross as much as I could, considering he is the colonizer invading Wakanda for the third act. And I think it's just a tight script with fantastic actors. So this is going to take, 7th place on my rankings. with an 8.5. It's gonna go right between Spider-Man: Homecoming and Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Okay, Shawn.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, I liked this movie a lot more on a rewatch than I did when I saw it in theaters. I was able to kind of ignore the third act a little bit and focus really in on the first two acts, which I think work much better. Ryan Coogler brings like a voice to the camera, if that makes sense, that a lot of these Marvel movies don't have. This is very clearly a Ryan Coogler movie. I'd say up until the last act. I think the last act is when you start to get more of the standard Marvel fare. But visually as well, it's as a big fan of Ryan Coogler, I think you can feel that in this movie. This went from, I think it was like a 4 out of 5 originally. It's now a 4.5 out of 5 for me. And it shot up way in my list to number 4 for me, behind Thor Ragnarok, but above Winter Soldier.
Okay. For me, this is a fantastic movie, despite the cutscene at the end. But other than that, crazy cast, fantastic characters, surprisingly like a message from a Marvel movie. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I put this at number 4 on my list. Below Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and above the original Iron Man. All right, cool. I think that does it.
Yeah.
So, Shawn.
Oh my god, next time is Infinity War.
Yeah, next time we're hitting the big boys.
Oh my god.
Think about
I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think we'd make it to Infinity War.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Hey, look at us. Hey.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Yeah. Tyler, you got to start thinking about how we're going to do the TV shows.
Yeah, that's
we're
a
getting
major concern
dangerously
now.
close.
No.
We're getting dangerously close.
Like, remind me when we get to Ant-Man. When we get to
Okay.
Ant-Man, I'll start thinking about it.
Okay,
Ants.
so in 2 movies?
Ants.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. Shibuya, tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me, as usual, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, just at Shibuya Gato. I stream stuff. I run a Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast if you're interested in that. And I try not to drown under the amount of TV shows we may have to watch in the future, so look forward to that.
Shawn?
You guys can follow
everyone
me.
find you and, as the main source for everything Wakanda.
Yeah. I don't like this bit. But you know what? That's all right. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Shawn_AFK. That's about where I am everywhere. And I do a bunch of stuff. Tyler and I just started doing a fun thing that will hopefully, I'll have the first episode up by the time this comes out. I just need to add visuals to it and it'll be done. But I really like the comic book Ultimate Spider-Man. It's my favorite comic book of all time. And Tyler has never read it. So us, along with our friend Iron Aggro, are doing kind of like an Ultimate Spider-Man book club type thing. So it's kind of similar in nature to this, where we read like a whole story arc, and then I recap each issue as like we kind of, I briefly recap like half a page to a page each, and we talk about it. And the first episode should be up by the time this is done. I've got it edited. I just need to do the video portion. But yeah, at Shawn_AFK.
Nice. For me, you can find me everywhere at Tyler Rims. That's TYLER_TYLERIMS. Or, I kind of just do what I do. You can follow MCUnhinged on Twitter at MCUnhinged. You can also find us on Anchor at anchor.fm/MCU-unhinged. You can also find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also, if we're not in a place that you listen to, come over to the Anchor page, copy that RSS feed, plug it into your podcast app of choice, and we will pop up there regularly for you. So next time, Infinity War. That's a big movie.
But we get a little break with FF16 in the middle there,
Yeah, well,
no, that's going to cause a lot of
break
problems
in that I'm
for
going
me
to be
specifically.
shotgunning FF16
Yeah.
like my life depends on it.
Yeah, me too.
So that it doesn't get drowned out in the 7 other things I have to do in between.
Of course.
Yeah, that's gonna ruin my productivity. So expect delays, maybe. No promises, but I'll try my best, as any mortal man shall do.
Yeah.
And then after that, we get to take a little break with Ant-Man and Captain Marvel. And
Oh God, I love Captain Marvel.
switch those, actually.
It's
my
gonna be
God.
interesting going back to Captain Marvel and Ant-Man because I haven't seen those since probably 2019.
Do you only have 5 movies left until we're done with the Infinity Saga?
Yep.
Isn't it 4?
No,
It's
it's
no,
Spider-Man.
right.
Spider-Man at the
Fuck.
end.
Yeah,
as the,
that
like,
counts as
epilogue.
Infinity Saga. All right,
Yeah.
shit. Oh, I'm gonna
Alright,
have fucking
well,
words about Far From Home.
until next time, we shall see you later.
Bye.
See you later.
Anyone have any funny anecdotes before we get started?
Not really. No.
Yeah, I got nothing on this one. It's just a good movie.
Yeah, it's real good.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy that Marvel isn't going to be at Hall H when, like, that whole ass Wonder Man show is, like, filming. And they still haven't announced it. Like, they're like, don't worry about that. Yeah, we know that it made all the headlines when it got shut down because strikers were blocking the set so that, the Teamsters couldn't get in. But that doesn't exist, and we're not going to tell you that it exists. So pretend it doesn't. Is an interesting marketing strategy, I think.
Yeah, they like to think we don't know about Wonder Man, even though they know we know about Wonder Man.
Yeah, and they're not going to tell us about Wonder Man, even though they know that we know.
But do they know that
should.
we know that they know that they think we don't know?
I don't know. I don't know what they know.
Correct response. Way to go, Shawn.
I really thought that Kevin Feige got it, and then the AI thing, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Come on, dude, come on." So maybe they don't know. Do they know?
Does he know?
I don't think he does.
Yeah. After the whole Kevin thing in She-Hulk, maybe Kevin's lost his touch. Kevin's lost his touch.
Maybe that was a cry for help. Maybe he's actually been replaced by that thing, and that's why they did the AI in the show.
He's been replaced by a scroll.
It was Kevin giving his
The real
AI
secret
cousin
invasion
a job.
was the invasion of fucking
Yeah,
Marvel
it was-
Productions.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I guess we'll just get into it.
I've never heard Tyler sound more sad in my life.
It's not sadness, Shawn.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah, it
just
seemed
woke up
more
from a
just like
nap,
exhaustion to me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
and I ate some spicy wings, and so
Oh.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Right before recording, that's bold.
Yeah, bold choice.
I ate some donuts before. I mean, try to
Okay.
counterbalance it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.